Welcome back to another episode of Twisted Metal Companion. I'm Peter. On the other side of me, sprinkled in all the lemon pepper, is Tyler. How you doing, sir?
Good. How you doing, Peter?
Doing good. I just wanted to use that reference on the right episode because we spoke with Jude Wang, who directed episode three, and I made that reference. But um, yeah, we
Feeling
finally
tangy.
you're feeling yeah, uh, y- can you? I mean, I suppose I don't want to find out, so I'll take his word for it. Um, been a while since we recorded, interviews aside, we haven't done an episode review in a really long time. For those that follow me on Companion Network, know that I cover a lot of other shows and life happens obviously in our, exhausting, job. There's nights where we could probably record, but we're just like physically and mentally we're not there and we don't want to do that to the listeners. So some really exciting things on this episode, you guys. Many of you probably already know that season two has been greenlit, which was confirmed by Anthony Mackie at the Game Awards, right? Is that what it's called, or is there?
I don't. Yeah, I believe it was the Game Awards. Yeah,
Yeah, right. And
yeah.
and so it was announced then. If you missed it, that has been shared on social media. Great news for the cast and crew. Obviously, we want to see the tournament. Like we haven't gotten there yet, so let's at least
Yeah.
let's at least get us that. And also, I was able to get it confirmed because a lot of people were wondering, what's going on right now, right? Like it was greenlit, season two's been greenlit. What other information do we have? And I was able to confirm that they are currently in the writer's room. And so they are ironing out, episode details and the story arc for season two, probably introduction, with a lot of new characters, including Axel, right? Like they already teased us with Axel at the end of season one in the finale. So really exciting things to come along the way. And that's as far as we know right now. No news of like any new casting or who's officially returning yet. So I think it's kind of safe to assume, unless you saw them on the board or we actually watched them die. And I know again we kind of watched die and on the board, but anyway, there's still you could probably assume who many of the characters are coming back.
hmm
Um, Anything else in terms of news, Tyler, that you could think of before the episode?
Nothing that I've heard. The them being in the writers' room, is kind of the biggest thing I've caught on to.
Right. Okay. So something also that happened as late for those that tuned into our interview with Diany Rodriguez, who plays Amber, I got a chance to link up with her and had a really good time. We went to go watch Les Mis, the Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe version. Had a great time, and that's a movie that attempted to watch when it first came out. When I was doing the Netflix thing, I send in one DVD, then I get the one, so that way every single day it's a new movie. And I don't think I knew it was a musical, and I'm not opposed to musical. In fact, I love them. Mary Poppins, Pete's Dragon is something that I was talking to Deani about, but I'm not opposed to them. But I don't think I was in the right mind frame to watch a musical. And because when the opening sequence happened, I was like, wait, think I saw this. And then quickly I was like, no, I think I stopped it almost immediately. But I loved it. I loved the version, and we just kept on laughing at Russell Crowe's attempt to sing. No, it was a good time. I wept a few times, so I really really quite enjoyed it and had a good time. And then we went to go hang out at her place afterwards. So I
Oh,
had to,
cool. Yeah, I've
yeah,
never seen Les Mis. I've heard about Russell Crowe
yeah.
and his singing ability. But what's that? What's like the log line? Like just it starts to be poor, but we're gonna sing about it.
I Well, it's a lot of different things. It kind of goes over like a few different timelines, but with the same characters, so it shows like, Hugh Jackman, who's in prison, tries to escape, from Russell Crowe, and then their paths meet again in the act two, where now he's like, I kind of forget his role in the town, but he's, kind of become this person and someone respected. And then you also have like Sacha Baron Cohen and
No.
Helena Bonham Carter, right? Yeah.
hmm
So
Yeah.
difficult names, but they play a really wacky couple that obviously belong in a Tim Burton movie, and we're in a Tim Burton movie, but that's all I could see, and they were so funny, and they were also great. And then yeah, it's a lot of different things. I couldn't give you a log line without looking it up, but it's
Okay.
I thought it was really good. If you can stand Russell Crowe speaking,
Oh,
um, maybe
I'll take
dub
Russell
that
Crowe in
one. But
anything.
hey, he tried, you know, he tried. But I thought it was really great, and we had a great, kind of like non-twisted metal or anything else really. It was just like a group of friends talking about Les Mis, and that was it. And it's just something that I've missed. Miss going out to the movies with you, buddy. So we definitely got to go see something.
Yeah.
Um, so that was yeah, pictures and video with Diany is on Instagram. If you guys want to check that out, I think I shared on X as well. And the other little bit of new something, we are going to be introducing a new segment that will be kind of playing at the top of our episode reviews. We've reached out to Real Radic, who you guys heard on the season one recap, along with Gamer J Lee, and Real Radic is going to be providing us an audio clip going over Easter eggs that he caught. And you guys, I love the energy that he brings and the insight of these Easter eggs. And this is what he gave us for episode two.
What's good, everybody? My name is Real Radic, and I've been a Twisted Metal fan for over a decade now. I had the honor of being asked by Peter and Tyler to highlight some standout Easter eggs of this episode, and I couldn't say no to that opportunity. Now, I won't get too carried away since this show is chock full of Easter eggs, but don't worry, the big ones will be covered. Starting off with our protagonist, everyone's favorite milkman, John Doe. The cheat code that John Doe says out loud during his brief battle with Sweet Tooth, L1 R1 up down left right left down up, is the unlimited health cheat code from Twisted Metal 2, which released on the original PlayStation back in 1996. Also during this scene, you see a brief shot of John Doe's glove, and on it is an illustration of a spider. This is actually a deep cut reference to one of John Doe's tattoos from the legendary PlayStation 2 entry, Twisted Metal Black. Later on in the episode, John Doe and Sweet Tooth form a temporary truce, and during this scene, you see a shot of a jacket that says Blackfield Asylum, Kane M. Once again, this is a reference to Twisted Metal Black. You see, Blackfield Asylum is the mental institution where all the contestants of the game reside, including our favorite killer clown. But by far, the standout Easter egg of this entire episode is easily Harold. You see, the paper bag that Sweet Tooth calls his best friend is actually a reference to the very first Twisted Metal game back in 1995. This is an incredible reference, as Harold the Wacky Lunch Sack was Sweet Tooth's one wish for winning the tournament of the very first game, much to Calypso's confusion. And look man, Sweet Tooth is crazy, so we should all be thankful all he asked for was a paper bag and nothing else. Anyways, that leads me to our last Easter egg, and my personal favorite one. John Doe and Quiet are being tortured by watching Sweet Tooth's show. And during this show, Sweet Tooth wears a specific outfit that Twisted Metal fans will clearly recognize as being from the 1997 PlayStation 1 classic, Twisted Metal 3. I love the attention to detail the show has to offer, from the spider on John Doe's glove, to Sweet Tooth's Twisted Metal 3 suit. The costume department did an incredible job this entire season, so hats off to you guys, and I can't wait to see your work on Twisted Metal Season 2. And those are all the Easter eggs I have for you for Twisted Metal Episode 2. Once again, thank you so much to Peter and Tyler for having me on. If you guys want to follow me for more video game takes and Twisted Metal takes, follow me at Real Radic on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok. I'm on all four. Thank you guys so much for listening to me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this podcast. Peter and Tyler, take it away.
And take it away, we will, Real Radic. Really appreciate again the energy that you brought. It's going to be something to kind of basically kind of it will obviously lead us into the episode review. It will give us some insight on things that maybe Tyler or I may have questions about. And you answered two things that I already had on my mind, so thank you for that. But also, I think it's a nice little break between like the news update, if we have any in the beginning, and our episode breakdown proper.
Mhm.
Tyler, what do you think about those Easter eggs? Did you catch those yourself, or any of those that you completely missed?
Let's see I mean, obviously, the cheat code, like I was familiar with, just hearing those rattled off my entire life that sticks out. And the Harold, his Sweet Tooth's friend, was like one of the only things I knew about Sweet Tooth, from the original game. He's a clown and he has a paper bag as a friend.
Harold is something I definitely did not know about. The spider, that was a deep cut. That was a really good one.
Oh yeah, didn't catch that.
And yeah, it was probably Real Radic that mentioned it on X months ago, and I believe Liz Vastola may have commented on X as well. I know there was a little back and forth, I believe. It's been a few months, but just yeah, him pointing out the attention to detail like that. So I love it, and I did get a watch in last night, and the more and more I revisit Twisted Metal, the more and more I love Will Arnett as Sweet Tooth. Like it's becomes synonymous now, whereas in the beginning, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it, it was kind of hard for me to kind of you know dis dif differentiate the separate
Mhm.
Will Arnett's voice, who you know from so many other things, and this new character that like I already had like a certain kind of image and also how I thought he would sound going into the show. So um what about you
Yeah,
in
it's yeah,
kind of
it's
rewatching
definitely grown on
again?
me. Yeah, kind of the
Hmm.
same thing you were talking about, that disconnect between knowing his voice and then seeing it, or hearing it come out of a different character, was a little jarring at first. But yeah, as I've watched the episodes, multiple times, it just feels more natural, as it goes on. And it helps that he's in a mask, so you can't watch the lips, not match.
Right.
But yeah, I've gone back and watched the episodes, not all the whole show all the way through, but up to what we're covering, yeah, a few times. And um, I tend to be pretty sour on like pilot episodes. The
Mm.
first, like, as a show's going, just as it always feels like everyone's trying to find their place. Everyone's just a little awkward. But it as I've watched through them again, all of that's kind of like faded away, and it feels a bit more, you know, everyone feels a bit more comfortable, and maybe I was the one who was,
Mm.
a bit more uneasy viewing it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. What you said about the pilot, man, season one of Twisted Metal is so good, and you don't even feel like they're setting up the world, but we're going along with it, and it's just so fluid. And there's another show that I do not cover, and I don't have any plans on, but it's something that, that's my one thing that I watch for myself, um, that I don't, have really a group of people that I discuss it with, and it's something that I can just watch as a fan, and that's the reboot of Quantum Leap. Huge fan of the original show with Scott Bakula, so already this is going to come with a lot of baggage and it's going to have a lot of criticisms already from a fandom that's already been around, that's been waiting for like this new iteration of it. And season one was fine, and I know they were very much trying to do their own thing, and but it's like a property we know, but it's just so many, so much new stuff, and they're trying to really make it their own. And so once season one kind of did that, season two kind of went in like a different direction where they were giving us stuff where I have never seen in a Quantum Leap show before and or a Quantum Leap episode. And so I was fortunate enough to get an invite to join in on this like live stream of a season two watch with the people over at the Quantum Leap podcast, and they had people jumping in and out. One of which happened to be one of the writers of Quantum Leap, and I happened to pop in when he was talking, and I said, I don't know what you guys did, between seasons one and two, but season two was like season one, hold my beer, because like season two was amazing, and I wish Oh, and again, to be fair, like they were trying to establish a brand new world with new people. Well, it's the same world with new people, but I just wish that I had that feeling with their season one, because after
Mhm.
a few episodes, I enjoyed it, but I kind of fell off. But I'm covering so many other things. I didn't know when I would go back and watch Quantum Leap, but until we spoke with Jude Wang. And so had it not been for our discussion with her, may not have gone back and rewatched it, but I told her, I was like, I will catch up just to get to your episode, and her episode was fucking amazing in season one. And I definitely understand the criticism she was talking about her season two episode about being called too woke. Get the fuck out of here. Like it's 2024. Yeah, I know the episode takes place in the 50s, but whatever. Anyway. So, but I
It's
thought
hard to
season two
find
was
something
great.
these days. It's hard to find something now that isn't too woke.
Right. Oh, they're really rubbing this into our face. Oh, jeez. Cut it out. Just don't watch the show. How about that? Quantum Leap is as well. They were progressive in the late 80s and early 90s for the shit they were doing back then. Be quiet. But anyway, so again, like that's why I brought up Quantum Leap because it all comes back to Twist Metal. Still, thank you, Jude Wang, for giving us that opportunity because I wouldn't have done the research and not known that you also did Quantum Leap and was able to catch up and finally enjoy that. So I think did you have any other thoughts of this episode? I don't know if I even really asked you just what you thought about this episode overall.
Oh, I mean, I like it. It's the introduction to Stu and Mike. Is definitely that's kind of I was watching it with a friend and I had forgot like, oh, they don't even pop up in the first episode. And so I was kind of just like waiting for the second episode because their intros like so good, like setting up the one conversation that they have before they're rescued. We'll get into it later, but just you get the perfect idea of who these two people are, what their relationship is like. you know,
Yeah,
it's great.
absolutely. This episode, let's put out this information because I forgot. This is titled. Was this one? Yeah, Three Ring Circus, 3RNCRCS, episode 102, directed by Kitao Sakurai, and also written by Michael Jonathan Smith, who in the fandom we call MJ here. This episode, I loved it. This is an example of why MJ is one of my favorite writers on Cobra Kai. Just the crafting and the callbacks, the setups, everything in this episode. You mentioned Mike and Stu, but holy shit, the stuff with like um, uh, Sweet Tooth and John Doe, and some of the dialogue there, the wittiness of it, just the finding that voice of Sweet Tooth, because this is really the first time that we get it. And so yeah, it was a lot of fun revisiting this and the jokes were just as funny. And one thing for those that only have followed us on the podcast and not social media, I did share this really fun frame of John Doe in the casino being chased by Sweet Tooth, and when Sweet Tooth catches them, he's standing in front of like one of the slot machines, and like the sign says like winner, yeah, with the arrows
Mhm.
like pointing at John Doe, and I just thought that was brilliant. So it's details like that make me really enjoy the show, and almost every show or every subsequent watching, you're finding something new. Um, the name game, Three Ring Circus. Why do you think it was titled that?
Oh, I mean, Sweet Tooth, he's a clown.
Yeah.
Clowns are at circuses. But whenever I read this, I always just read 3RN Crocs. That's
Yeah.
3RNCRCS. And
Yeah.
I think this might be the title that I have struggled with the most to like before looking it up to like try and piece together what it's supposed to be.
I kind of remember when and it was via text exchange when we were talking about the titles. And I was like, I think Three Ring Circus. I forgot what your response was, but it was definitely kind of like, oh, well, duh, you know. But you're right. It's like three registered nerds and Crocs. Like that's what this episode's about. Three RNs and Crocs.
Three registered nurses
But
and Crocs.
yeah, I I don't know how. I don't know when like coming up with the name of the titles for the episodes, if they said, hey, each title has to be like this amount of characters. I'm not sure because every state, I think, has like their own limits, right? Like Oregon,
Mhm.
our Oregon plates most commonly have six characters, and California eight. I'm just guessing there.
Yeah.
Definitely more than
Yeah, I'm not
ours.
sure for them. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
And so
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any like like Sweet Tooth, like what's his say like ice cream or it's something from the game, right? And so I do wonder if that's something they take into account. Like each state does have like their own limit if they go by that. If not, this is just things I like to pick up on or
Hmm.
kind of see. But kicking off the episode. We see that it's 24 seconds earlier. John and Quiet have guns pointed at each other as Sweet Tooth nears. John works his magic and convinces her to team up so they can leave. And my question to you is, how would you react to see Sweet Tooth approaching you at high speed?
Oh, I would run. I would run and hide behind a rock.
Understand?
Let him destroy my car.
Yeah. This is equivalent to seeing fucking Leatherface with the chainsaw, but he's on wheels. Yeah, I can only imagine. And John, like jumping ahead a little bit, John says like, who doesn't know on the whatever the location he gives. So like Sweet Tooth is known. And
Hmm.
so like his recognizable vehicle to come at you like at high speed. Yeah, let's get going. They simultaneously aim at Sweet Tooth and start shooting, but have no ammo. He drops like that line of like this has never happened before. So like, do you think that was like running out of ammo? I mean, I'm trying to think logistics. I know it's like played for laps, but I was trying to dissect the
Yeah,
sequence.
uh, what was it? Yeah, he's like juggling. He has all the guns. He's like juggling them around. He's like that. I don't know if you're familiar with that meme of the guy who's holding all the limes and
No.
like it's just I think it's from like a JC Penney ad or something, but it's just some guy holding out way too many limes, and that's all I could think of is John just holding all these guns, not being able to get a grip on them. But yeah, it's a fun impotence joke.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, sorry, I don't have enough ammo.
I do think it's really funny. And the fact that neither of them are that rattled with the, Sweet Tooth coming. Because even when you're like, we're out of bullets, my first instinct would be to jump in your car and try to drive the hell off while you try to load that ammo. But yeah, they're not as phased, but maybe because there's two of them. Um, John hilariously drops ammo, Quiet and uses the opportunity to drive off with Evelyn. Okay, so she does do that. And John was able to get in. I do like this line because it does make me think back to did you ever I feel like they might have mentioned it in Menace to Society, but it's like it's something that I do remember hearing from like, the hood movies back in the day about like bullets not having names on it. But John Doe says that he's got, six bullets with her names on them. So like he will unload on you if, she
Mhm.
basically doesn't stop. So I kind of like that. That was a little dangerous coming out of John's mouth. Um, there's a reverse. No, jumping ahead here. John convinces her to let him drive. Now, he did say, what was it that he said? Because the car wasn't really quite driving off. And to me, but this is like future knowledge, right? From like a future episode. I was like, oh, she doesn't really know how to drive Evelyn because John has been kind of like making these repairs like all the
Mhm.
years. And so like maybe it's not up to par and up to speed to like actual standards. And so he only knows how to drive it the way he fixed it. Is that kind of how
Mhm.
you took it?
Yeah, kind of you've gotten used to the fact that like, oh, if I want to get this thing to go, I've got to like punch the gas and hit the brake,
Yeah,
right at the same time. Yeah, and then they do that impossible shift from passenger to drive
right.
as they like climb over each other. And then yeah, we get John entering his special code.
Right. I did not write that down, but yes, you just sorry, and you just kind of reminded me of a story I had heard. Have you ever heard of anybody in that situation where they need to switch places, whether they're being pulled over or whatever?
I mean, I've seen it happen in like media, but I've never encountered someone saying that they actually did that. Because it's just I mean, it's so obvious. Like if you were trying to
You
like
would
switch at
think.
a traffic stop or something.
So I heard it from somebody who was a part of it. He was passenger and the driver was driving and they were being pulled over. And I forgot the details in terms like as to why the driver was like, no, you need to be driving. And so he like unbuckled and literally tried to climb into the passenger seat and push my buddy into the driver's seat. And because I do remember thinking, does the car not slow down when the foot is off that accelerator a little bit? Or it's because you guys are already supposed to be slowing down for being pulled over that, you're just hoping, the officer doesn't see like the heads, moving
Yeah, like you've got really strong tints or
or
something.
that. Yeah, yeah. So I do have that one story. You mentioned the code, and shout outs to Real Radic again for explaining. Now you made an observation when you took notes for it.
Yeah, when I was watching, I looked it up because I wanted to also see what the code was, and I also came across the as he mentioned the Infinite Life in Twisted Metal 2, but all the documentation I could find, which was mainly game facts, uh, has the same code. It's just missing a left right there near the end. And I don't know if that's an oversight, or something, or maybe it's a reference to something we actually haven't caught. But yeah, it's exact. It's just one little button press there that's missing.
Yeah, I do wonder if that's a maybe something that was a mistake in editing. Like they
Mhm.
accidentally cut the audio at some point. I would have to go back and see like like if there were any cuts, from like going from John's hands to like his face or something like that. That's something that's possible. Yeah, that would be interesting. It could just be an oversight, but but and I guess to that point and kind of knowing how the season one ends, do you think John doing that, do you think that that worked, or do you think maybe because he missed the one left that maybe this may come back in season two or something?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that would be quite the callback. Open up season 2 with him doing the wrong
Or
code or something.
or maybe because of that mistake is what happens with him later in the season.
Mhm.
you know so yeah, hey listeners, hit us up, let us know what you guys think about that. And if you happen to catch if it was missing a left. So yeah, reverse driving, I like this part. And Sweet Tooth kind of signals roll down your window. Did you have any guesses what he was gonna say when that happened after John Doe rolls down the window?
Sorry, did I
Did you
guess?
have a like an idea what Sweet Tooth was gonna say to him?
Oh, no. I mean, yeah, he seemed, like he was being pretty charitable by not shooting them immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, caught on that they were just trying to have a conversation. But yeah, and we also see like right before that, the his watch clicks over to 9 days left in the uh middle of this chase.
You said 9 minutes?
9 days.
9 days. Right. So we'll I guess we'll touch on it when we see it again later because we get the last shot as well. Um when I see the rolling down and not knowing what
Mhm.
the hell was gonna come out of Sweet Tooth's mouth, my mind actually went, is he gonna ask for Grey Poupon? Like, do you remember those commercials?
Yeah.
That I legit thought he was gonna say like pardon me, because like we saw it in Wayne's World, right? Like that's
Mhm.
back in the 90s, and this show is full of like those 90s references. So I just thought it would have been funny if like Sweet Tooth is asking him for Grey Poupon. They look at each other like, what the hell is that? Because they're supposed to be older, or I mean a younger generation.
Oh, I mean, John didn't know what Jello was, so I
That's
doubt
true.
he would know what
Jello,
a fancy mustard is.
right? What'd you say about poop? Gray what? So that's what I thought he was gonna say. Um, Sweet Tooth asks if he's here for the show, and John lies about being there for the show, but then shoots at them, and they crash into the Monte Cristo. I didn't do any research, and I had thought about it when I was watching it. Do you have any guesses why they might have picked that particular casino?
Oh, I mean, I think it's just because I don't think Monte Cristo's a real one.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just a play on Monte Carlo. Uh,
Okay.
like
Fair.
don't have to pay for the Monte Carlo,
Okay, that makes a lot of
branding.
sense. Because I know the Count of Monte Cristo,
Mhm.
that's a movie. Um, okay, then let's see here. Let's see, roll down window. Okay, so now we go to a new location. This is called it just says eat. There's a sign that says eat and then low gas. Did you have any thoughts on like some of the signage outside?
I mean, yeah, it just looked like a
Run down,
like
drive.
desert
Yeah.
gas station or something. Yeah,
Okay, maybe somewhere nearby there's a
pit
big
stop.
old like dinosaur like drive-in thing you can walk into.
Yeah.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Did that
Hmm.
one go over yours?
Go no, no, yeah, go meet
I got it.
a
Just wasn't
waitress
funny.
and
Um, so it's a rundown restaurant. This is the introduction to Mike and Stu, which for the gamers are familiar with Mike and Stu from the games. They're being seasoned by the butchers, is what we learned that they're called. Um, how do you think they kind of came about? Do you think this is just like, they were on Craigslist looking for a community of like cooks who like, you know what? I wouldn't mind surviving on just eating people.
I mean, I think something like that. It's you slowly find people, and they kind of have the choice of if they're going to be useful, you can stay with us, but you have to cook and eat humans.
Yeah, they look like
If
okay
not, then your
guys,
dinner.
other than they eat people.
I wanted to mention the actor who's playing the
Francis?
first butcher that we see,
Oh,
Michael P. Sullivan,
okay.
a character actor. I saw him in the Five Nights at Freddy's
Oh,
movie.
okay.
He played a lawyer. Hands down, best part of that movie. If you're
Oh,
gonna
really?
watch Five Nights at
It's
Freddy's,
isn't it also a
good.
Peacock? You could probably watch it.
Uh
Prime?
oh,
I think it's
I think
Prime.
it might be. I don't know.
Okay. Well, there you go. If
Yeah,
you guys have Peacock,
not a fan of the
you know,
movie, but Michael P. Sullivan is great.
okay. Best thing in the movie. Well, maybe I'll check it out. I heard that it's kind of based off of like the Chuck E. Cheese, character. And we were just there recently, and yeah, I think they removed it because of that movie. Like some of the characters. Now they just have like a dude dressed up as Chuck E. Cheese, looking a little less of the version I remember him as.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been surprised if I learned that they were still doing the animatronic shows at Chuck E. Cheese anymore. That seems like way too much upkeep for a company like that.
Yeah, yeah, I think it is gone. Okay, so here we learned that in dialogue, Stu has sleep apnea, and he had fallen asleep because Mike had I don't know if it was traded or sold his sleep CPAP machine for porn.
Hmm.
And I feel like we talked about this at the season one recap. I mean, I don't know. Who do you think Mike's in the wrong for that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
As Stu says, or what Mike says, I traded this because I wanted to get you something dope for your birthday,
sleeping
and
is dope.
yeah, and so yes, this a full 8 hours is dope. Dreaming is dope, and yeah, not being alerted in your sleep to butchers would be dope.
I'm not ready to commit one way or either way, but I feel like we need more information on said porn. Like is this a flash drive? Is this a magazine? Yeah, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, whatever.
I just
Who's in it?
I feel like the
Categories.
I feel like at the end of the world and being that close to Vegas, pornography cannot be something that's in short supply. Like
You're right.
I feel like that's got to be kind of everywhere.
I would imagine all of the cards and brochures and magazines are littered all over the ground. Yeah, yeah. So they just need to make it to Vegas for some free stuff. Okay, fair, fair. it- the- Hopefully there was a lot of it, for the CPAP machine because that's probably not easy to get a hold of nowadays.
And
Um,
also seems hard to operate when you're on the road doing a scouting mission to have your CPAP plugged in.
yes, yes, 100%. We know somebody that has sold these things. I don't know how it works
Mhm.
or have seen it. So, but right, power supply and all that stuff. Is it portable? Who knows? And who's still paying for power? So, like, I don't know. I guess the jury's still out on whether or not Mike was in the wrong because he might have been doing Stu a favor
Oh,
to be humping that around without anywhere to really plug it in.
And I mean, I guess Mike probably has a good argument. CPAP machines are not quiet. They're loud themselves, so that could have alerted the butchers, on its own.
You're right. That's a dead giveaway if you're trying to be discreet. Um, let's see, lemon pepper, because both teriyaki sauce. See, I wish that my notes were better than that. Does that mean anything to you? Because both teriyaki sauce, lemon
Oh,
pepper.
that they yeah, the butcher was seasoning both of them, and then the other guy came up and said
Oh,
like, "Oh,
trying to diversify the
you
flavors.
season them both in teriyaki sauce." And like, "Oh, well, I'll do this one in lemon." And then he calls dibs on the man titties,
Yeah.
uh, and then meets his end.
Yeah, yeah. And then they were rescued by the lawmen. My question to you is, who was sniping? It wasn't them, right?
I mean, I wouldn't
They
think
must have
any of them that
snipers.
just ran in. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because
So,
they all file in through the same through the same door.
yeah.
So unless they were just the butchers are not very attentive, and just everyone was allowed to surround them.
Yeah, that was pretty violent. Did not expect that. And well, you know, so did the lawmen, what did you think they were gonna find? Were they looking f for food? Because they know they're going to go see
Uh,
butchers?
I mean, I got the idea that they were just, this is just them like patrolling and finding like a butcher outpost and like a stone. When he kind of like describes them right as he walks in. Oh, butchers, people that would rather eat their own than starve to death. So he
Hmm.
seems to view them pretty lowly or in low regard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even they have standards, I guess. Um, Agent Stone asked if they're guards because after they were released, I do like this little touch where if you look at Stu, he's got his clothes and stuff, but then you see like the handcuffs, and if it's not a gun, usually cuffs, it's like okay, some sort of like security or something. So I like that little touch there. Um, let's see, Stu was telling their story of what was going to happen actually. Mike kind of cuts him off, sees an opportunity, and I don't know if he's embellishing on the story or completely lying just to kind of make them sound like, more important than just regular security guards. What was your take? Lie or just embellishing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think they were definitely embellishing. Like, I believe, I believe that they were, off doing some type of like scouting mission, like picking something up, something like that. And then yeah, got caught. But I doubt that they were actually like guards, of any
Sure, sure.
real merit.
I think like Mike is like definitely taking this opportunity to kind of like give himself like uh put themselves in a better situation than what they currently had
Mhm.
going on. Um I do like the change in demeanor because it went from like, well, I don't want this guy to think that we're unreliable security guards. And so he changed his
Mhm.
demeanor, like, okay, we're more hardened than that. We just had a slip up and got captured. So I kind of like that. They were grabbed when their car broke down. So I do like that after they've been accepted that welcome to the law, and there's like a round of applause, kind of like woo, hey, good for you guys. I
Yeah.
really like that. I thought that was hilarious.
Find those good positive moments in the day, enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. I love it in everyone's faces. We go back to John and Quiet, who are hiding. And Quiet uses this moment to literally stab John in the back, physically and metaphorically, and escape from him inside Monte Carlo. Um, and this is where Sweet Tooth plays Marco Polo. I love the score here from I always just say Zach and Leo because in the Cobra Kai world we know who Zach and Leo is. So Zach Robinson and Leo Bierenberg, who are now also I want to make sure I get this right, Grammy Award winners for their work on Weird on Roku channel. So the Weird Al film, you guys go check that out. Yeah, they won a Grammy for that. Um Zach kind of busted my balls a little bit when I interviewed them for the Obliterated Companion podcast because I introduced them as I think Oscar nominated, and he corrected me Oscar and Grammy nominated, and I was like, oh, Grammy too, so. Um, Yeah, for I think, for like the soundtrack. Also they were included
Mhm.
in that. So yeah, congrats to them. Twisted Metal has Grammy Award, or is it Emmy Award? Shit. See, I'm doing it again. I think it was the Emmys. It was the Emmys that they won. Yes.
Okay, yeah, that would probably make more sense over the Grammys.
Yes, because they're in music. I think that's why I said Grammys. So yeah, it was Emmy Award because it's the thing with the star and anyway. Yeah.
But hey,
Uh
next year they're coming for the Grammy.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. What do you need for an EGOT? You have to do stage as well, right? I don't know if they've done stage.
Uh, Emmy,
Tony,
Grammy, Oscar, Tony. Yeah.
right. We'll see, I mean, they've dabbled in all those facets, most of them anyway. But anyway,
Yeah, when the Twisted Metal Cobra Kai stage show comes
right.
out.
Hey, Sweet Tooth will be there. He is stage ready, that guy. I'll tell you. Um, okay, so Marco Polo, John gives a location away, and escapes. What'd you think about this sequence of Marco Polo? Just outside the casino.
Good. I like the uh Sweet Tooth, saying it over and over, and then you dang it, that normally works.
Right.
Like eventually people just give up, I guess, apparently, and start playing along.
Right. That's a good observation. I definitely thought about that like the first time I heard that dialogue. Like, and I just love Quiet Space. They're like, is he really playing Marco Polo? But yeah, I love it. And then Sweet Tooth and John continue on inside the casino, and then they bond over Cisco. I had already mentioned the framing of John in front of the slot machine with the winner there. We've talked about it, I would say extensively. I'm trying to picture how they broke that sequence in like the writer's room. Like, okay, what were some huge song in the 90s? Because I don't know if you immediately go to Thong Song, maybe that's somebody's on their playlist still, to work out at. But because I just think S Cisco and I mean Drew Hill even was such a kind of like record scratch. I mean, and I'm sure that's what they were going for, right? I was just like, of like all the things. I mean, I honestly like if it were me pitching some of these things, I would have gone something that I think the idea is like what would be something that we don't think Sweet Tooth would listen to. I wouldn't have
Mhm.
thought like Drew Hill or Cisco. I would have gone with like, what if it was like Spice Girls to become one?
Mhm.
you know and that's like kind of a not necessarily a duet, but it's a group, and it'd just be kind of funny, like Sweet Tooth like just loving like this female group that was like huge in the 90s. And so I would definitely love to pick somebody's brain about the song choice there, but also what were some other song choices that they had discussed. What is something that I don't know if you ever put any thought to it, but is there something that you could think, well, it's huge in the 90s that also could have been like really funny?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of other stuff, but
Smash Mouth might
that
be
that
too,
would
like, that might just fit better than it actually is being funny.
yeah, I feel like and I feel like these days like Smash Mouth is kind of the go-to like fun like ironic song
Right.
for something. But I mean I could see like Backstreet Boys in sync, like
Sure.
something like boy bandish, like just similar to like Spice Girls, like girl group, something that's just like Cisco is something that what year did that come out? The thong
Uh, I
song.
believe I believe that album came out about 97, 98.
Okay, so I
Yeah,
would have
I
been about
believe.
8 years old.
Yeah. So
Uh,
I believe I was like a sophomore or junior, somewhere thereabouts, before my son was born in 2000 for sure. But I remember when it came out, and I I'm not saying I have the best judge in music, but I have had judged some people's like first singles off of an album, and I love Drew Hill. Like I still listen to Drew Hill. I have a number of songs that I still have on my rotation. Um and Cisco's thong song is not one of them. Even like
Mm.
Drew Hill adjacent, and he has some other great songs. But like for this scene, that fits. But I do remember when the thong song came out, and I was like, "This okay? This is his first single, sure." And then after listening to the album, I was like, "There's a lot of great songs on here that could have been a first album or a first single." But that was just so unique. And you're talking about
It makes
thongs.
it, yeah, it makes a real statement. You know,
It
it's
does.
you come out the door like you want people to know what you are about.
Yeah, that's right. And as Cisco does, he does flips, in the videos. There's a bunch of women in bikinis on the beach. I remember it very well in high school. That's why I love Twisted Metal because it always reminds me about like my high school days. Did you see this viral video? I've seen it mainly on Instagram of just a random video of like high school kids in the 90s, and there's no context or anything, but it's just like a few seconds of like maybe half a dozen or so students, and it's just like what high school kids look like in the 90s. And I'm watching
Mm.
it, I go, I am looking for anything that is telling me that this is my high school because these kids look very familiar. The
Oh
frosted
yeah.
tips and the puka shells and all these things. And so like these kids are shopping at Anchor Blue, but yeah, I legit thought it was like my high school, so I just kept on looking for anything to kind of reveal itself. But it's actually kind of fun, very nostalgic. Um, all right, so we were talking about Cisco. Um, so let's talk about Sweet Tooth right here because
Mhm.
we are learning some things. Um, I don't know if you're ready to say ADD or ADHD, but obviously his mind is just. Oh, did you know Cisco's real name is Mark? Like just out of
Yeah,
nowhere,
I
you know?
I like names. I'm a name guy.
Yeah. I don't. Oh, I do have it coming up. That's a little bit later, so I'll wait for a name that comes up. Um, Nope, I jumped ahead. Okay, let's go back real quick to Mike and Stu. Orientation and initiation. This is a task to protect the truck from the seagulls. So I don't know if this is just the lawman's term or if this is the Twisted Metal's world term, but seagulls. Do you think this is just something that the lawmen use?
It seems like it because yeah, Mike and Stu didn't seem to, or at least Stu didn't seem to know what he was talking about. You know, he asked like, "Why do you call them seagulls?"
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, so I would say that's probably just their little colloquial, term for people trying to survive, I guess.
Yeah,
But Stu does, he has a line that I liked right before this, when they're kind of walking through the dam, just being introduced to everything. Like Eight Stone asks him how he liked the showers, and Stu says, "I don't remember the last time I felt hot water that wasn't my own piss."
again, Michael's writing, it's just some of the stuff that comes out of his episodes, you're just like, what? You know, excuse me, I'm jumping ahead, but when Quiet talks about Sweet Tooth's performance as it being dull as like dick water, or well, just like what is that? What is dick water? So he says things that make me just question like, what is that, and how did you get there? I like to reference this to like people that don't watch Cobra Kai or haven't seen it, but there's an episode that Michael or MJ wrote. This exchange between two kids who have no like as far as we know, they had no like beef before we saw these two share screen together. But there's this exchange where one group shows up and then the opposing group opens up the door, and then these two kids, one says, it's something to the effect of, I can't stand your stupid face. And then the other replies, if you died, I wouldn't attend your funeral. Or if you died, I wouldn't go to your funeral. And you're like, wait, that's not even a sick burn, but like, who talks like that? So there's a lot of, it's always like his little touches
Mhm.
that really stick out, these little things. But I guess they're sitting there wondering, when's the last time these guys could have taken a shower? Probably a really, really long time. And somebody's like, bet you the last time was like when he peed himself or something. And so it's got to be like that. I always wonder. That's why I love the writing
Mhm.
in most things, because if it's some shows where it's very pedestrian, in terms of like the dialogue. Like we're just going from A to B. Well, I love the stuff that kind of make you sit there and think about something real quick, you know? So that's why I love the writing on this show as well. Uh I like this really okay, so the Seagulls. This is obviously to test these guys and their loyalty. Can they do the dirty work to roll with us?
Hmm.
If they cannot, probably die. Um the Seagulls. I Do you think they're just I don't know if I'm using this correctly, but I don't know if collateral damage, but do you think these are just expendable people just for the sole purpose of testing, or are these type of people that the lawmen actually look for?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think that it's because it does seem a little convenient that right as they're like sitting there waiting, these people come along. But yeah, I took it as like they put this truck out here. They know that it's a place that people are
Mm.
going to see, and so it's just a matter of time before people come. And Stone seems to have the opinion that like I think he mentions it in the previous episode where he's talking about the guy that cleaned up New York. You got to
Yeah.
squash out the little sins to take care of the big sins. And so, someone, yes, they're technically stealing, even though they're just, trying to scavenge. Uh, that's the exact same as any other crime you could do. So
Mm.
punishable by death.
Yeah, he's like looters. That's what these seagulls are.
Mm-hmm.
They're looters, They
Yep.
deserve to die. Um, all right, so Sweet Tooth, we cut back to them at the casino. I love how he eats Skittles when he gets the pre-show jitters. And so again, jumping ahead a little bit, we do find that Sweet Tooth has some sort of culinary experience of sorts. Something, just has dabbled in the kitchen. And so and the way he eats his Skittles, funny as all hell. Just tosses it, and he's wearing the mask, so he's not really eating the Skittles. I'm trying to think, like, does he have that taste palette, where he can cook and then be like, no, it needs more seasoning of this. So, like, I'm just wondering, like, how we saw him eat the Skittles to him serving up White Tiger, steak
Mm-hmm.
or something. So a lot of questions about that character. Um, and then we see. Oh, he tells John Doe some of the rules. I think this is about the upcoming show or whatever. But we see a dried up corpse, and you mentioned the name game
Mm-hmm.
earlier. This corpse is named Donald. Can you think of any person that this corpse could be named after? Like Donald Duck or something. I don't know what other Donalds we could you know have mentioned.
Uh, I mean, I can think of some Donalds, none that would be, relevant, I guess, to Vegas. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
But as a
but yeah,
corpse, I think there's probably a
yeah,
smaller
and
selection to
this,
go around as
yeah, and this is also where, yes, Sweet Tooth rates John's name a 7, which is a pretty
that's coming
solid.
up. He
Yeah.
learns his name and gives it a 7. And just this is one of those things that I would love to see a side by side, or even like, play clip A followed by clip B with Samoa Joe's voice doing this
Hmm.
part and then Will Arnett's. Just to hear the difference, because I love the timing of the cadence of the uh rate that a 7, or however, whatever that was. It was just so good, the
Hmm.
delivery of that. And then this is where Sweet Tooth learns about John Doe's amnesia, obviously the play on the name John Doe as well. I love the like, what's your brand, then he kind of names off like the types that you can get amnesia from. So I do like that. And then he shares this like memory of being covered in blood as well. The two of them woke up and they're covered in blood, except for Sweet Tooth was being pushed out of his mom's whiskers biscuit. Have you heard of that before?
I have heard that term before. I couldn't
Okay,
couldn't tell you where. Uh, but yeah, one of the few people to have a memory of being birthed. So
yeah.
it's a unique guy all around.
It's yes, great memory, but the whisker biscuit, just to kind of like touch on that a little bit,
Hmm.
I like the sound of
Dig
it
into
because it sounds
this.
funny. And not only is that like almost kind of ew and hilarious, but also like I kind of now wish that there was a product called Whisker Biscuits that you could buy for cats.
Okay, yeah, I could,
You
yeah,
know, it
Whisters,
almost just
yeah, the cat
changes it
brand,
like completely. Just like,
yeah.
oh, it's cat food. You're like, oh, okay, cool. But then when you're describing it, describing a nani, as like a whisker biscuit, you're just like, you.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, with like a context.
Yeah,
If you're on the store shelves and you just see like, oh, Wister's biscuits, like, okay, I'll get those for my cat. But yeah, someone's describing being pushed out of one. It just you get a very vivid picture in your mind.
right. And again, you guys, I've been covering Cobra Kai for so long, and it's a different type of show. I just love to kind of see like a different side of MJ, of kind of having less, mm, I don't want to say, I'll say this word loosely, but like less restrictions on like the dialogue, and what he can say. So I could see old Whiskers Biscuits like showing up in a Cobra Kai, like depending on like the actual context of that dialogue. But I just yeah, there's stuff in here that like there's no way he would have said that on Cobra Kai.
It
Um,
seems like the kind of thing, yeah, Johnny would say, and then the
kind of, yes.
students would like recoil in horror at hearing.
Yeah, 100%. Um, and then, again, good memory where he shares that he shit his pants in his elementary production of Oklahoma. Not a production I've ever seen, but I've been very curious because I know it's one you either okay. No,
Yeah,
nothing at
never
all. You
seen
have
it.
no idea what it's about.
I know it's about Oklahoma. I assume that maybe it's not, but it's like the anytime a TV show or movie is like, oh, here's a student production of something. I feel like you got a like 60% chance it's going to be people doing Oklahoma.
It's like Oklahoma or the damn Yankees or
Mhm.
those something damn Yankees. I feel like it's like the two I've always heard like throughout school. And then this is where you get the did you know Cisco's real name is Mark? So it's like, yeah, his
Yeah,
mind's all over the
and I
place.
looked it up. Mark Alphavan Andrews, full
Never
name
would
of
have guessed.
Cisco. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard Alphavan as a name.
Must be like a relative. Sounds a little bit more old fashioned. Like like
Hmm.
uh like saying Whiskers biscuits, like a old timey grandfather says something like that. I didn't look any further, but like the name Cisco, I was wondering like because I think there's a liquor that's also Cisco but spelled differently, and I wonder if it was kind of a play on that. But I know there's also like the Cisco County Junior. What's that? Wait, what?
Oh, Briscoe County Jr.
Briscoe. Okay,
Yeah, with
not even Cisco. Okay, never mind.
Bruce
But
Campbell. Yeah,
I do know like I have seen a name Cisco like Cisco. So I wonder where he got that. Just because
I
there
yeah
was,
I just I say yeah I just go straight to the food like food supply
yeah.
company like
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. Hmm. I love the spelling of it. No you. It just really kind of really pops. Stu struggling to get comfortable with his rifle, doesn't feel right and questions the task. Stu hesitates and Mike shoots, saves his ass. Um, Stone here, he says could happen to anyone, rookie mistake, but then also emphasizes don't let it happen again. So he obviously knew that Mike wasn't or Stu wasn't able to pull the trigger and Mike helped him because and also like even if you can see it, you can see who shot. You're gonna
oh
see
yeah.
the back blast and all of that. But
When
um
they're standing behind him, Stone and Shepard are like watching as he's just fidgeting. Like he's
like does
clearly
he even know how to
never
work this?
he's clearly never used it. Like he's trying to like he's wrapping his arm over the top of it, putting it under. Like yeah.
It'd be funny if it was like backwards and it took him long enough, or like for somebody like Shepard just walks over, is like, "Hey, big guy, you want to turn that around?"
I noticed the first time this time watching it is noticed when they first save them from the butchers and they hand them guns. And Stu grabs the gun and he's holding it like near where the trigger is, and he like points it up and like looks at it, like down the barrel and stuff. Like he's not selling that he's a experienced guard.
See, and to that point, I would have to go back and look at his pile of clothes that he's holding. I mentioned the handcuffs that was just hanging out. I don't remember if there was any rifle, or I mean, obviously no rifle the way he was holding it, but was there a pistol? Because we do
Mhm.
see Shepard hand them both pistols after they're like, yeah, we'll roll with you guys. Um, and so like he very much could have been, they could have been that type of security guard that just had tasers or something or flashlights.
Mhm.
So they may not have that experience. But maybe that says something about Mike as well. Like maybe he knew how to shoot and has some sort of experience, maybe upbringing or whatever. But I feel like this duo, they've probably they've worked a lot of jobs together, probably. So yeah, a lot to unpack just from this little bit, and I just love those little details and hearing the stories about just filming and kind of running it back and doing things a little bit differently, trying this, just to get these little, and Jude called it a special, right? So like I don't know if these are those as well, like from an actor standpoint, but for them just to add these little touches, give you a little bit more of those characters as well.
Mhm.
Because, you know, I missed it, you picked up on it, that already kind of gives you more of Stu's character as well. So that's why I enjoy rewatching things and picking up on the little things that every actor does. Um, let's see, we go to John. Okay, John. I put J. I was like, Jack? No. John and Sweet Tooth. They're doing well. Sweet Tooth is doing voice warm-ups, probably something that Will Arnett already does. I feel like he did that on the opening of like Smartless, as a cold open, cold intro or whatever. I feel like he did
Mhm.
that very thing. But I could be wrong. And we get some backstory. There's a mention of Blackfield Asylum. Is that the name of the asylum from Twisted Metal, or was it because I know Twisted Metal Black, it has like different
Yeah,
storylines, and I wonder if it's a nod to that
I
Blackfield.
I believe that that's what it's called there, but yeah,
Okay,
I would have to confirm.
okay. And according to a top, I don't, it's not a blouse, but the top that he wore in the asylum is it clearly says Kane M, so we know he's
Mhm.
Marcus Kane, right? Because I know there's other variations of him, or maybe different names. You know better than me. And then we meet Harold, and he kind of gives the backstory on Harold, that Harold can't lie to him. And I love this exchange too. He's like, "You got a Harold?" He's like, "No, I got a Evelyn." And I love that too. And I could almost like hear MJ's voice saying like, "Oh, that's cute," like I can, because like, having spoken to him a number of times, like I feel he also has like a certain cadence to the way he speaks and things like that, and so that almost sounds very much like MJ. The "Oh, that's that's so cute," or "That's cute." I think it's just, "Oh, that's cute." But yeah, love that. Love the physicality of Samoa Joe on top of Will Arnett's delivery of that line. Um, and then his whole line, like, you talk to your car? That's weird, man.
Yeah, suddenly
Um,
getting judged by Sweet Tooth.
yeah, like, you talk to your car? Did you talk to a paper sack? Just to underline that. Really love that. And then we find quiet. So I love the shift in tone from the comedic, oh, Evelyn in the car, Harold, to, well, if Evelyn's your car, then who is that? And so we find out that Sweet Tooth found her trying to escape in the vents, and she has his keys. And the only way they can get released if they can survive all three acts of Sweet Tooth's performance. Do you have any other notes around the sequence here
Uh,
before the actual performance?
just that, yeah, he has a quiet locked in like this glass, enclosure, and says that he's going to starve her to death. It's kind of his art to watch the life leave from their eyes. And the record is 4 weeks, held by Wilbur, who is also in there and is just a like desiccated corpse.
Now, do you think he named Wilbur? Because like when's the only Wilbur I've ever heard of is Wilbur Wright of the Wright brothers who invented the airplane.
I think of Charlotte's Web, that Wilbur, it's the pig.
Okay, it's been a minute. That sounds vaguely
Um,
familiar. Is it
but
Wilbur?
I just assume that he's just naming all these people.
That's
Like,
Donald. That's Wilbur. Yeah.
mhm. Although
Um,
he has been there. Like I was gonna say, like because they all seem like they've been there way too long. But he says, later or maybe it was before that he's been there for 2 decades
right. Yeah, yeah,
in the
Yeah.
casino.
He tips his hand on something, and John says, "You've been here for like 20 years or 2 decades," and he's like, "Man, has it been really that long?" You know.
Yeah,
So he's lost track of time. Um, I wonder how many people he's come across since then, though. Because if people really know about Sweet Tooth, like, are you getting anywhere close to Vegas? So maybe it's just Donald and Wilbur who are by themselves. Um, let's see, Harold is nope, nope. Go back to serves them White Tiger, prepared 3 ways. I hope it's not tartar because I
yeah.
don't know if
I
I'd
don't
be
think the
reluctant
meat's
to
of high
try
enough
the tartar
quality.
white. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but bony tit, I like that. That's funny.
yeah.
You know, uh, don't think it's a nod, but it obviously reminds me of like oh, Sean Connery on Celebrity
that's
Jeopardy.
that's
Yeah. Or no,
exactly.
no, no. Was that was him, right? Or was that Turd Ferguson? I kind of forget. Bone
No, yeah,
something
Sean
tit.
Connery. Yeah, ape tit for 400.
Oh yeah, but it's Bon Appetit. Um. Anyway, so they eat it. It looks like it's good. And she ignores everything John Doe says, but in order to get her to respond some way, he says, blink twice for yes, which she does not. That's a setup. And then let's see, we get the one-man play. That's in-room entertainment. So we got some stuff from Real Radic, obviously. Any observations or notes you have from the performance?
I mean, yeah, he's just going through essentially what you would when you turn on your TV for the first time in a hotel. He's apparently watched this enough times that he can now reenact it as a 3 act play. And the thing that I appreciate is we see Harold with his like tropical drink, like as it's going through the 3 acts. It's kind of a montage, and you're getting John and Quiet falling asleep, like getting more and more bored and fed up with it. And then, yeah, you get a cut to Harold with his tropical drink, which then a little bit later, it'll cut back and the drink is now empty.
I wonder if Harold turns red when he drinks. Um, but like you can kind of interpret that however you want. It could also be it's been so long that even the cocktail drinks start to evaporate a little bit too.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of Harold also just sitting there sipping. And it's like, hey,
Hmm.
Sweet Tooth, you're good, and I can't lie to you, so you know I'm telling the truth. Um, Okay, so yeah, I mentioned Harold drinking the cocktail. And so at this point, after the performance, Sweet Tooth asks for opinions and gets upset because John lied. And that's something that we've been picking up, when they first met. He does not like liars, Sweet Tooth. And so John is like obviously poorly overselling the fact that, oh yeah, you're really
Hmm.
good and all this stuff. And Quiet speaks for the first time and says that it was a fucking snooze fest. And this is where Sweet Tooth, yeah, he appreciates the honest critique and decides to take on the show on the road. So
Hmm.
obviously, I just kind of combined like that entire sequence. But a few things. I loved again the callback to Blink Twice because now that Quiet, she was honest about how she felt about his performance. The attention goes back to John Doe, who she's like, yes, tell him yes. And so
Hmm.
I like the him just being reluctant to being honest. But at this point, what do you got to lose, man? Come on, like he's right in
Yeah.
front of you, and she's alive right now. He didn't kill her for being honest, and so I do like that. Dull as dick water, is what she says. Um, and isn't it? So I think it's Quiet that kind of gives him the idea to take the show on the road, right? Didn't she kind of ask, like, imagine
Yeah, because he's
the
Sweet Tooth says like, well, didn't Mark Twain say you need to write what you know? And he knows the hotel. And yeah, Dwight says, like, oh,
should
Mark
get out
Twain's an
more?
idiot. You gotta go out there, experience things, and see the world. And yeah, he said he's going to hunt down his audience.
Yeah. There you go. So yeah, so she's kind of the catalyst for that, I guess, which is pretty funny. Um, but I do like let's see, takes the show on the road. What was the other? comment I made about that. Okay, she tells John Doe to say yes, mention the callback, show him the road. Maybe we already kind of said it all. If it comes back, I'll bring it up.
Yeah,
But
once he says, "Yeah, the show's going on the road," she's like, "Oh, no, no,
that's not
not
what I
like
meant.
that." Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say because there was a sequence in Cobra Kai season 5 that I believe was in MJ's episode where a similar thing happens. Maybe it was the episode before his. I might be forgetting. But there's a character that had a very similar thing where she tells the character, "Hey, you need to blah blah blah," and that guy not necessarily misinterprets what she's saying, but what he responds with, she's like, "That's not what I meant." So it was very much that same thing. We go back to Evelyn at this point, and Sweet Tooth is seeing them off. I love this,
Mhm.
and like this sequence kind of reminds me of like, obviously this is based on a video game, and I'm not going to reference Twisted Metal, but it's like, okay, we've completed this level, we have met this character. And these two characters accomplished their tasks, and now we're moving on, and so that's the vibe I was getting, and I love how we're getting it's starting off as the extended instrumental of the thong
Mhm.
song. And at this point, Sweet Tooth gives John Doe a headshot of his autographed. That's very sweet. And for those that don't know, I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast, but that piece of artwork right there is drawn other no wait drawn by MJ's daughter, and then he rewrote it to include that in the show. So that was things that, was kind of on my mind, having heard these type of stories like during the writer's strike. It would be nice to have the writers on set so that way they can
Mhm.
rewrite certain things. And so like it logistically, it makes the show that much better, being able to do those things. Um, so I like the inclusion of that. He waves, and the body language was very, you folks come back anytime, you hear? Like that kind of greeting. So I like that as well. Hoover Dam, you mentioned they were at the dam, so I did see a sign that says Hoover Dam parking, and this
Mhm.
is a few different sequences. We see Mike getting along with the other guards, and Stu's being, yeah, he's salty, but he's definitely being left out. And there's a callback to the punch card that Mike said earlier. And then we also see Sweet Tooth dumping gasoline and setting fire to where he was staying. Any other things that you kind of observed
Oh,
during this little montage?
I mean those poor tigers are going to be
Oh yeah.
roasted. That'll be put to
Well, I
fourth
mean,
way.
Sweet Tooth called them assholes. No idea what they did, but according to him, they're going to deserve this. And so if anybody likes, White Tiger, well done or burnt, the fourth floor, I forget,
Mhm.
12, somewhere. Um, so Sweet Tooth takes his clothes and Harold along with him. John is running his mouth, and at this point, Quiet draws her gun, and he says, "Didn't you learn anything?" And she quickly fastens her seatbelt. So again, a
Mhm.
callback from earlier, where when she was trying to basically take over the car, gun to his face, he slams on the brakes, and she hits her head. Um, see, oh, so here's another thing. So at this point, John is asking her, "What's your name?" And she goes back to
Mhm.
being quiet again. Um, did you have any thoughts when you were kind of watching the sequence at any point, the first time, so, the last time you watched this, like the whole name
Oh,
thing?
I mean, yeah, just that if I were in that situation, I would just be frustrated. It's like, I know you can talk, just give me any name, anything like to
Yeah,
call you. But yeah, then he decides on quiet.
he said decides on quiet. When it was when the scene was playing out, I thought that it was a reference to the DMX song, "What These Bees Want." What these bitches want. You never heard of that song? So that song also has featuring Cisco. And in the song, DMX runs off a few different names, Brenda, Letitia, he's naming off all these girls,
Okay.
and there's a cadence to it, and they rhyme. And so when John Doe was listing off those names, I'm like, I need to go back and listen to that song and see if this is that reference, and it isn't.
Mhm.
Different names, different order, and so I thought it might be that again, tying back to Drew Hill. Um, Just a few more here. We arrive at the gate at the Hoover Dam. Stu asks for the ORL, oral. So that was a funny exchange. This is when Quiet recognizes Shepard, gets out of the car,
Mhm.
and gets tased trying to go after him. Also, John, we see on his watch that he's down to 8 days left, which you kind of mentioned. It was 9 at the top of the show. Um,
Which yeah,
and that's
actually I
pretty
have in
much
my
it.
notes that it says 9 days now. So I may have been wrong before. I'm not sure.
Maybe it is 9 days, and I have 8 days incorrectly. But
Yeah.
let's
You're
see.
actually you're probably right. I probably just wrote 9 twice. But yeah, we get the great shot of like the panning out of they're both just being tased on the ground.
Yeah. And having spoken with Jude now, this rewatch I just had, I was kind of paying attention to like them falling and remembering how she said that it was hotter than shit and they would fall and jump back up. Um, that's pretty much it for that. Do you have any other last kind of comments about the episode two, leading into
Uh,
episode three next time?
no, I mean, I think we covered it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting on to the next episode.
All right, have that title ready for me, real quick as I wrap up. Yeah, really enjoyed this episode. I know Jude Wayne directed episode three. I'll have to look at the writer, but I believe it's Grant that wrote episode three. So I'll obviously correct myself in the next episode if that's incorrect. But yeah, really enjoyed this setting up the relationship between John and Quiet, and definitely looking forward to what's to come. And again, Real Radic, shout outs to him. Thank you for providing the Easter eggs, and looking forward to more of those in our future episode reviews. Tyler, where can people find you if they want to give you a follow on social media?
Yeah, I am on Twitter at 300 points and on Blue Sky at Rorick, Roerich.
I'm gonna need to check that out. It sounds like a lot of people are starting to migrate over there a lot more now. I
It's better than Twitter, getting
yeah,
worse every day though.
I bet. I am at Twisted Metal Pod on X and Instagram. And if you guys want to provide feedback, we have email twistedmetalpod@gmail. You can find that in the show notes as well. So that's going to do it for this episode, Three Ring Circus, episode two. And until the next episode, I got dibs on the man titties.
See ya.